This is Will Nunziata, New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film. And today I am thrilled to be speaking with the acclaimed artist and musician, Dan Lee of Gray Paper Planes. But before we get to our interview, here is a sneak peek at his incredible talent.
Everything tastes like blood and sugar as I wait for your sun to come up and kiss my earth. You vanish like the dew in the dead of the night, finding new ways just to pick up a fight. Well, your lips taste sweeter when you lie and let it linger. Your lips taste sweeter with that poison on your finger. You're never gonna love me and I'm never gonna leave you. Your lips taste sweeter, your lips taste sweeter on me.
Well, hello, Dan. How are you?
Doing really well.
Very nice to meet you, and I'm so excited that the audience got a little sneak peek of your incredible talent with your song Lie and Linger. Talk to me a little bit about the impetus behind that song, Dan.
Yeah, so it's a very personal song, if you will. I came out of a pretty rough relationship at a few years ago, and it was really a lot of the processing I was doing at the time for myself. I can't really get too much deeper into it other than that, but it's definitely it definitely takes a deep dive into, I guess you could say, dysfunctional relationships, and I just wanted to add that sort of more of a sexual flavor to it to kind of, I don't know, infuse it with something lively, I guess you could say. So it's,
Well, look at,
yeah.
I mean, thank God you went a little vulnerable, Dan, because I think a lot of people can relate to, especially during these past 18 months. I know a lot of friends that were forced to stay in dysfunctional relationships just because of the nature of this quarantine. So I think that it's a song that a lot of people can relate to now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a rough couple years for a lot of us, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Dan, I know that this has been a tough time for all humans, especially artists. I'm curious how you were able to, these past 18 months, keep your creative juices flowing.
It's interesting. I was thinking about this the other day, actually. So when the pandemic hit, I think it was early 2020. I think mid-March was when I think we went into lockdown. I remember thinking like, this is an opportunity. Like, this is an opportunity to focus finally on things that I had sort of set aside for a long time, because I was in this sort of survival mode for a while, especially coming out of this relationship. So I decided to really use the time that I had to try and create something meaningful. And a lot of this album that I'm putting out next year is a lot of processing of things that I've set aside and not really processed before. Growing up in a very highly religious community, to dysfunctional relationships, things like that.
I'm curious to know, Dan, what you're most excited about in terms of releasing the full album and what the audience can expect to hear in terms of the full landscape of all of the songs in one collective.
One collective. Yeah, it's interesting because we're so used to, I think, singles these days.
I know.
Like who releases albums anymore, right? Like,
I know.
we don't really listen to it that way. Like the artists used to, we used to put an album out. Like you'd have 10 songs and
it told a story.
Exactly, and the way that the artist wanted you to hear it. So I guess for me, I kind of wanted to hang on to that, have the singles, as they are, but also I wanted to do this thing sort of like, again, have it be, this is sort of my processing, and a lot of my friends, who also, so short story, I grew up in a highly religious community at the height of the purity movement in evangelical Christianity in America. A lot of my friends and I have come out of that since, and are what they're calling deconstructing a lot of that experience now. So, you have a lot of broken homes, divorce, and things like that. So what we're doing at this point is trying to figure out, what does that mean? What does that look like? We're in our 30s, you know, how do we move forward with this? And so for me, I just took the tools that I had, art and music, and tried to express that, and express things like sexuality and, um, you know, figuring out what does it look like to be in a healthy relationship. What are these dysfunctional relationships I've been in? So it's been a lot of that. But I guess you could say, going back to your question, I hope people hear that. I hope people hear the story of sort of just like these little mini stories that you can kind of connect with in your own way. I'm certainly not telling someone how to connect with it, but I hope they can find their own way.
I love that, Dan. I mean, look at, that's why I asked the question, because I'm so excited just in hearing Lying Linger. I wanted more. I wanted not just to eavesdrop in on this one vignette. I wanted, as a director, but also as a lover of the full arc, you know, what and how it came from you, beginning, middle, and end. And so when can the audience expect the full album?
So I don't have a specific date at this point. I'm shooting for March
Awesome.
of 2022. The next song I'm releasing is called Bad Thing, and that's coming out tomorrow on Bandcamp.
Oh my
And
God.
then it'll be yeah, and then it'll be streaming everywhere next weekend.
Great. So this is tomorrow, Friday the 17th. You are going to be releasing your next single. And then next weekend, Christmas weekend,
Yes.
it is streaming the whole thing.
Mhm.
Amazing. Well, listen, Dan Lee, I am so excited to finally be meeting you. So excited that we are now connected, and just really thrilled that you're joining this revolutionary app where you're not only going to be able, obviously, to connect with other artists in the United States, but all over the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.